Well, hello and welcome to this video. In this video I've got a little bit of a secret to tell you, and it's something I don't want too many people to know. So keep this between me and you, and if this video suddenly gets deleted or gets removed, then you know someone's not very happy about this secret getting out. Today I've got 10 things that I wish I knew before starting to QuickBooks, and I'm sure they're going to be 10 tips and tricks that's going to either help you in the world of QuickBooks or make you actually want to jump into the world of QuickBooks. Either way, keep going on this video. This video is going to have 10 great little tips for you to make your QuickBooks life better than ever before. Stay tuned.
I told him I can be a fighter if you want. I'll be there to catch you if you fall. I can make it brighter when it starts, I told him I would do it all for you, and I know you do it for me.
Hello, my name is Aaron Patrick. I'm a chartered accountant, a certified UK trainer with a fancy new logo, that QuickBooks chap on the internet, and also head of accounts over at Boffix. So in today I've got 10 tips for you that I wish I knew before starting out in QuickBooks, because I know would have saved me a lot of time over this past couple of years. So let's get straight into tip number one. Okay, tip number one, and this one you can use anywhere within QuickBooks Online. So if I want to create any transaction, so I'm just going to put an expense in here. Have you ever wondered how I've been able to quickly and easily go through the dates? Well, that's because there's a few tips and tricks I want to tell you about. First of all, notice I'm in June 2021. Well, if I put 23rd and just press tab, it'll complete the /6/21 for me. Also, if I want 23rd of the 2nd, which is a very important date that I hope you all remember, then if I put 23rd of the 2nd in and press tab, it'll do the /02 and /21. Obviously, I hope you're all aware that you can press this little calendar button. That's going to give you those calendar dates and you pick from there. But I also have some shortcuts for you as well. Now, the word year starts with letter Y, ends with letter R. So if I press the first letter in the word year, I go to the first day of a particular year. So here it's taking me to the first. If I was to press R, which is the end of the word year, it takes me to the end of a year. Also, if I keep pressing R, it cycles through years for me. If I keep pressing Y, it goes forward and cycles through years again. And then the word month, exactly the same. M to go at the beginning, and H to go at the end. Also, on your keyboard, press the plus or the minus to go through the actual days and cycle through them, or cycle backwards. Finally, if you need today's date, T for today takes you directly where you need to be. Okay, have you ever been looking at trying to clean up your working papers like I've done here, and noticed that actually for some unknown reason, whatever it's going to be, you've got two names that are very similar to one another, but are actually the same account, and you need them to be shown separately. And you need to merge those accounts. Well, this is where we can help you. So it doesn't look very obvious how to do it. In fact, my first initial reaction would be to maybe use batch actions, no options there, but actually it's straightforward. All I need to do is go into the person that I want to change. So in this one, Aaron Nunn, and I'm going to go change and use the edit button, and I'm going to change the last name to Patrick. And then the key bit is I change the display name as to Aaron Patrick. And when I press save, because this name is already here, and press save, it says, please confirm this name is already, would you like to merge these two? I press yes. And now that transaction, all that information, Aaron Nunn's now been deleted. And if I was going to jump to Aaron Patrick, you'll see that that invoice has also come through. This one just here. So that's how you merge accounts. All you need to do is take the original one, override the name, and you're good to go. Speaking of accounts, I'm trying to keep them up. What about if I'm reading these through here, £800 due March 21, chase if not received. Remember, I'm using notes to achieve that. But what if I'm actually thinking to myself, there's no way I'm going to get a couple of these back. Some of these are never going to get back at all. Well, if I've got a massive £36,000 to write off, all I need to do is I do new transaction and credit note. So this is if I'm applying a bad debt. Now, here's my information that I've got in on here, and all I need to do now is choose a service, product and service, and now I've already created it called bad debt, but let's try and create a brand new one. All I do for a bad debt is I press service, and my income account here, I'm going to create an expense called bad debt. Now I've got an expense called bad debt. All I will then be able to use is use this name bad debt, and that will then post it there. So all I'm going to do is go bad debt, write off bad debts, the attachment. I would always put an attachment of what it is you're going to write off at this point, just so you've got proof. And my other pro tip is, if you've got tax involved, use your inclusive figure. It's going to make your life easier. Put in the figure. That's going to give me £36,290.76 to write off. Save and close. And as simple as that, I've just written it off. If I want to then apply them, because at the moment they're shown as overdue, I press receive payment. QuickBooks is going to notice that we've got a credit note and all these invoices. So all I need to do is do save and close. And now I've gone and written off my bad debt. Simple as that. Now look in the banking screen here. Have you ever wondered how or why those are actually shown in that particular order? Well, for me to edit this order, I need to go back to my dashboard, press my little edit button here, and this gives me the chance to move these around. And it's this moving of these ones here which determine the order it's going to be. So I want my business bank there, and then I want NatWest, then Revolut, then PayPal. Press save, move over to my banking area. I have business bank, NatWest, Revolut and PayPal in that order. Makes my life easier, means that I can have control about which ones are there, because sometimes you've just got some accounts you're never going to be using on a regular basis. You're only ever going to interact with it every so often. You want them all the way to the right hand side, so you're focused on your main bank account. Okay, so we're coming to the halfway point now, and at this one what I want to do is give you a money saving tip. Now if you're on the highest version of QuickBooks and you're paying for the full license, the plus version, then this gives you a fancy solution called projects. Now if you don't want to pay for projects, you can create a very similar idea, because all we're doing is we're associating these accounts, this income versus these expenses. Well, all I need to do is find a transaction. Let's go back to a previous expense. And notice how I can put in the customer here. So I put the customer against, let's say, Red Lion. And I have, let's say, an invoice for Red Lion as well. Then all I need to do is run my reports, find a profit and loss, but under filter, I'm just going to go customer, Red Lion. Press run report, and you can see now I'm pretty much getting that same process. I've got my sales, I've got my purchases, and that's leaving me with a profit for that particular project, or in this case, customer. And if I want to go into individual projects for customers, don't forget that when you create a customer, you can make it a sub-customer. So I can call this project 1, sub-customer against Red Lion, and then I can post against that, creating me many different projects as I need for that particular client. Okay, here's one that I get asked quite a lot. When you go and need to get rid of something from QuickBooks, so imagine that I've decided that I don't want a transaction in QuickBooks anymore. Then when I go to more, have you ever wondered why there's a void and a delete? Well, I'm going to void this particular transaction to see what happens to it. And then I'm going to find another transaction. Go more. This time around, I'm going to delete. And I can use this fancy little tool up here to look at my voided and deleted transactions. Accountants only, this one. And from here, you can see that here's one transaction I voided, another transaction I deleted. Well, what's the difference between the two? Well, actually, it's really straightforward. If I want to look at my voided one, I click into check, and I can see this exact transaction is still here, but with the payment status void, the amount 0, and a little memo here. If I had an attachment down here, I could utilize that attachment. Or all I need to do is actually go in, and I could be really savvy with this, and I can actually make this transaction alive again just by putting a number in there, and this transaction will be back to where it was before. On the expense side of things though, when I go to what I delete, On the deleted side of things though, doesn't matter how much I try and click into this expense, it's not going to give me the option to void. So when I look at the difference between a voided and a deleted transaction, well, a voided brings the transaction to nil but keeps that transaction still there, whereas a deleted transaction deletes the transaction completely, which would make it really difficult if you want to try and find maybe your attachments or anything else. Don't forget you can use your audit history on both of these to find out what happened to the transaction, so you can still get that information back, but it isn't going to be as easy as when you void the transaction. Void versus delete, dead straightforward. Have you ever thought to yourself you need to quickly update your products and services? Maybe you're having a sale on, or there's some reason why you need to quickly update them. Well, it's actually dead straightforward. All I need to do is come in and first of all export the list to Excel. Once I've exported the list to Excel, I can then do whatever updates I need to do. Okay, so maybe I now need to just make a few adjustments here. So let's change this one here and let's update it. And let's change this one here and update that one. So I'm just going to put that one to there, press save. And I could just use Excel formula to update all of them, dead straightforward. Now then, if I use new and import, everything's going to import lovely for me. Press next, and my key area is down here. I get the option overwrite all values for each product service when they import identical name. This can't be undone. This is overwrite option, which basically means that I've taken the data, I manipulated the data, and now I'm replacing that data to what my manipulated data is. Now, when we were talking about trying to save money by not having to go up to that higher version of Plus, there's one more trick I can give you as well. See, a lot of people like to use class and locations. Class and locations are a way where you can actually take a transaction and assign a class or a location to it, so then you can run reports to understand what's going on. A great example of this is if you've got online versus physical stores. You could then say which income relates to your online, which income relates to your physical stores, and you could even try and apportion the expenses as well, so you can run a report and see which is doing better, my online store or my physical store. You know, you could even go from that physical store to have maybe multiple stores, and which one's doing well, which one's not doing well, very well. Typically known as what's called branch accounting, and it's a really useful way to be able to understand how your business is doing. Well, in QuickBooks Online, you can only do class and location if you're on the highest version of QuickBooks, being a Plus. But if you use this handy little trick, you can do this on any version of QuickBooks. And that's using tags. So tags has only recently been released. So if I jump into an expense and I go into a previous expense, just to make my life easier, and I wanted to say that this was related to my online store, I literally type in online store on there. Then let's say that I've saved that and I want to find another expense. And I'm going to say this is for my physical store. In fact, I'm going to go even further. I'm going to say Derby store. Save and close. Then all I need to do is assign a bit of income as well. Then if we go to reports, and again, let's do a profit and loss account, and I go for online versus store and run report and do all dates. Then suddenly I get a much better picture of how my business is doing. So for me, yes, I've got much more income coming in from my Derby store, but actually my net income's not as high as I'd expecting because of all the costs I've got associated. Whereas my online store, very little costs, means I've got a much higher profit ratio to that one. That could make a really important decision about how you're going to run your business going forward. And I wouldn't have known that if all I've had was total only, and it was telling me all this sort of stuff. That doesn't give me any information. It's too noisy. I can't look at it properly. Whereas I can start making these really important decisions using either class and location, which is only available in the highest version of QuickBooks, or tags, which is available everywhere in QuickBooks. So yeah, a great little feature, that one. Now these next two have become a real pain point for me in the past, but actually I found a great way of being able to fix them. One of them is if you use billable expenses or unbilled expenses at all, you'll know how important they are. And the idea is that once you incur an expense, you can set it so that it's actually going to go over to a report, so that when you actually come to invoice a particular client, for example, you're automatically told about these expenses. As an example, I'm doing this expense now, and you can see here, okay, it's just a meal, it's some business, but I've been told that all expenses I've incurred on this particular job, doing this work, I'm allowed to expense to this customer. So this particular meal here, I'm able to claim this back from the customer when I invoice them. Well, I don't want to forget about this. I know it's only, so I don't want to forget about this, so I save and close. And when I go and I do an invoice to a customer, keep an eye on this right hand side. You'll notice the right hand side opens up, and I can actually add that transaction in with a nice little link on there, which is basically saying that it's now noticed that I still have this over, and I can actually add it and bring it in. Great feature, really, really useful. But what about if you've been adding all these unbilled expenses, never got round to actually expensing them, and now you've got yourself into a pickle? Well, if you go back to the home page, it's a really cool trick, this one. I get to go up to the top here, and I get to interact with here, and instead of where it says home page, I'm going to replace it with managed billable expense and press return. What that's going to do is take me to the back end of QuickBooks, and in this area here I can go in and I can choose a date. So I'm going to choose today's date. Remember, my shortcut is T for today. Press save, and all of those billable expenses have now been hidden. Instead of me having to go into them individually and having to update them, I now got a clean slate and I can move on from there. Speaking of the back end of QuickBooks, my final tip for you is a real important one if you've ever made a complete mess and you need to restart. Well, again, going to interact with this up here, I'm going to remove the word homepage and I'm going to replace it with purge company. As soon as I press return, on this one it's going to say that I am more than 90 days, contact support, and I'm absolutely golden. But if you manage to get yourself into a company that's less than 90 days, or you've contacted support and asked them to reset that 90-day rule for you, then again, remove the word homepage, put purge company in, press return, and the following data will be deleted. 43 accounts. Also note, once you're wiping this company, there's no undo. When the wipe is complete, you'll be able to start over with new accounts. You have 90 days to wipe a company when it's created, and you have 90 days yes. Type yes to proceed. Down here we press yes, then press OK, then press wipe data. You choose which manufacturing you want, or an empty chart, wipe data, and as quick as that you've updated it. How amazing are those 10 things? And again, they're the 10 things I wish I knew before I started on my world of QuickBooks, because got to admit, most of those ones there are real time savers. There's many a time I've sat there having to get rid of unbilled transactions, or I've had to go through and manually update products and services, or I've had to figure out how to manually move data from merging accounts. All of these are great time savers for you that I know are going to help you in your world with QuickBooks Online. Well, let me know below any other tips that I missed, any of those tips that are going to be so useful to you. Let's start a conversation about tips and tricks within QuickBooks Online. Stay tuned on the channel though, because we've got some more great tips coming your way, including a nice little behind the scenes tour soon of a day in the life of a QuickBooks trainer. One not to be missed, I'm sure you can imagine. My name has been Aaron Patrick. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that jazz. It helps the channel grow. It means that we can get the content out to you so that you can make sure that you're doing the best you can with QuickBooks Online and your business. My name has been Aaron Patrick. It's been an absolute pleasure to do this video for you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
I told him I can be a fighter if you want. I'll be there to catch you if you fall. I can make it brighter when it starts. I told him I would do it all for you, and I know you do it for me too. I can be a fighter if you want, if you want. I can be a fighter. I can be a fighter if you want. I can be a fighter if you want. All the way that I feel, yeah, I know that it's real, 'cause I can get him out of my head. I don't care what we do, everything's feeling new. Even if we stay in bed, my heart is saying yeah, 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 yeah. You know I want him, nah, 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 nah. My heart is saying yeah, 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 yeah.
Hello and thank you for watching that video. What you may not know is this channel that you've watched this video from is part of a wider group. That wider group is called Apple Core Productions, and the 3 channels that we have involved are as follows: Aaron Patrick the QuickBooks Chat, Boffick's Tax Tip. Finally, we have Apple Core Live and Geeky. All the links and everything are down below in the description, but it really means a lot to us if you can go and give a like to the other channels as well.